Michael Prosek's lion attack. On March 5, 2019, Michael Prosek entered his pet lion's cage in the quiet village of Zdekov, Czech Republic. The 34-year-old had done this routine feeding countless times before. The male lion suddenly turned on him. Around 7 a.m. that morning, Michael's father went to check on his son. He found Michael's lifeless body inside the male lion's cage. The cage was locked from the inside. Michael had entered the enclosure voluntarily and then became trapped with the lion. His father immediately called the police. When officers arrived, they faced a deadly situation. Both lions were still prowling inside the cage with Michael's body. Police had no choice. To recover the body, they shot both lions. A police spokesman later said the shooting was absolutely necessary. A doctor declared Prosek dead at the scene, and his body was sent for autopsy. Sadly, the lioness was pregnant when she was killed. The incident prompted the Czech government to consider major changes to laws governing dangerous animal ownership. Dan Brandon's python attack. On August 25, 2017, Dan Brandon was in his bedroom with his pets in Church Crookham, Hampshire. The 31-year-old had been keeping reptiles for 16 years and owned 10 snakes and 12 tarantulas. That evening, everything changed. Downstairs, Dan's parents were cooking dinner when they heard a loud crash from his bedroom. They called out to Dan, but he didn't answer. When his mother checked on him around 7:15 p.m., she found Dan lying face down on the floor. He was cold to the touch. His 8-foot African rock python, Tiny, was missing from her tank. Paramedics were called, but couldn't save Dan. Tiny was later found coiled up under a box in the room. The autopsy showed Dan had died from strangulation. The doctor found bleeding behind one eye, burst blood vessels, and swollen lungs. There were no bite marks on his body. Coroner Andrew Bradley said that Tiny had likely wrapped around Dan either during normal handling or because she felt scared, leading to accidental strangling. A snake expert who examined Tiny found no scratches on the snake's skin that would show a fight. The expert said that while African rock pythons can recognize their owners, they act on instinct. Mario Perivoitos's dog attack. On March 20, 2017, Mario Perivoitos was in his London home with a BBC film crew filming his life. The 41-year-old was with his Staffordshire Bull Terrier, Major. Mario had no idea Major was about to turn deadly. Major suddenly became violent and crazy, attacking him right in front of the BBC crew. The dog crushed Perivoitos's throat, causing terrible neck injuries. Even though the film crew tried desperately to help, the attack was fast and brutal. Perivoitos lost a lot of blood from neck and face injuries. He was rushed to the hospital, but died from his wounds. Major was taken away and put down after the attack. An inquest later revealed a shocking detail. The dog had likely eaten crack cocaine, which may have caused the violent, crazy behavior that led to the deadly attack. The coroner said that Perivoitos's death was caused by the dog attack. Mark Fogel's Black Widow attack. In 2004, Mark Fogel lived alone in his small apartment in Dortmund, Germany. The 30-year-old collected over 200 spiders and insects, including a deadly black widow spider named Bettina. But one day, something went terribly wrong. Mark was bitten by his black widow spider. The black widow's poison is 15 times stronger than a rattlesnake's. Living alone with no one to help him, the poison quickly spread through his body, stopping him from moving. For weeks, neighbors noticed Mark was gone, but thought he was away. As days passed, a bad smell began coming from his apartment. When police were finally called to check on him, they found a horrible scene. Mark's dead body lay in his apartment, and his hungry pets had begun eating him. Spiders were crawling out of his nose and mouth. Bigger pieces of flesh had been torn away by lizards and taken back to spider webs. Spiders had even built nests the size of bird nests in the ceiling. Police said the apartment was disturbing, with open cages and tanks everywhere, all lit by a scary green glow. Sandra Piovesen's wolf dog attack. On July 17, 2006, Sandra Piovesen entered the pen of her 9 wolf dog hybrids in Salem Township, Pennsylvania. The 50-year-old had been keeping and breeding these animals for about 10 years. She would never make it out of that pen alive. Sandra was supposed to meet her daughter Crystal for breakfast that morning. When she didn't show up, Crystal went to her mother's house to check on her. Crystal found her mother's dead body inside the animal pen. It was a horrible scene. Sandra had suffered many bite wounds and cuts and had bled to death. When police arrived, the wolf dogs were acting aggressively. The animals were moving together along the fence line, as if they wanted to attack the officers. To safely get Sandra's body out, police had to drug and then kill all 9 animals. The autopsy confirmed that Sandra had died from injuries caused by her pets. She had been alive when the attack started and likely died within minutes from losing too much blood. Sandra had been calling the hybrids regular dogs to get around exotic animal laws, as she didn't have the right license to own these animals. Animal control officers had warned Sandra before that keeping hybrid wolves was very dangerous, but she had ignored their warnings. The incident led to calls for stricter rules about owning wolf-dog hybrids and other exotic animals. Kellyanne Waltz's bear attack. On October 4, 2009, Kellyanne Waltz entered the cage of her pet black bear, Teddy, to clean it. The 37-year-old mother of two had done this routine cleaning thousands of times before on her Ross Township, Pennsylvania property. Before entering the cage, Kellyanne tried her usual trick of throwing dog food to one side to distract the 350-pound bear. This had always worked before. This time, it didn't. Teddy turned on Kellyanne and attacked her. Her young children saw the whole thing happen and ran scared to their neighbor Scott Castone's house for help. Scott, a schoolteacher, rushed to the property with his gun. He found Teddy on top of Kellyanne, who was not moving. When Teddy saw Scott, the bear started moving toward him. Scott had no choice and shot the bear in the head, killing it. Scott then rushed to Kellyanne's side and called 911, but nothing could be done. She was declared dead at the scene. After the incident, it came out that Waltz's permits for keeping exotic animals had run out in June 2008, more than a year before the attack. Marius Els's hippo attack. In November 2011, Marius Els went to check on his pet hippo, Humphrey, on his 400-acre farm in Free State, South Africa. The 40-year-old former Army major had raised the hippo from a baby after rescuing him from a flood. But this time, Humphrey turned on him. Els would often ride on the hippo's back, feed him apples, and brush his teeth. Els was sure that Humphrey would never hurt him. His neighbors weren't so sure. They had seen Humphrey chase golfers on a nearby golf course. There were also reports of Humphrey killing farm animals. Earlier that year, a man and his grandson were in a canoe when Humphrey chased them away. They had to climb a tree and stay there for 2 hours until Els came and got Humphrey away with an apple. When Els didn't come back from checking on Humphrey, his family went looking for him. They found Els's dead body in the same river where he had saved Humphrey years earlier. Paramedics said Els had been bitten many times and had been in the water for some time. Els had often said, "Humphrey's like a son to me. People don't get it. I have a relationship with the most dangerous animal in Africa." His wife Louise had always been worried about keeping such a dangerous animal as a pet. Terry Vance Garner's pig attack. On September 26, 2012, Terry Vance Garner went out to feed his pigs on his Oregon farm. The 69-year-old Vietnam War veteran did this multiple times a day and had been doing it for years. Terry had no idea he was walking into a death trap. When Terry's family went looking for him, they found a horrible scene in the pig pen. Only Terry's teeth and small pieces of his body remained. The rest had been eaten by his pigs. Many of Terry's pigs were huge, weighing up to 700 pounds or more. Pigs have powerful jaws with strong teeth and will eat meat. Police were called, but the strange situation made it hard to figure out what really happened. The district attorney said Terry might have had a heart attack, which could have caused him to fall and made him easy prey for the pigs. The other possibility was that Terry had been knocked down by the animals on purpose, leading to the deadly attack. A doctor couldn't figure out exactly how or why Terry died, so they sent his remains to an expert at the University of Oregon for more tests. But there was never a clear answer about what really happened. Bethany Lynn's dog attack. On December 14, 2017, Bethany Lynn Stevens went to walk her 2 pit bulls in Goochland County, Virginia. The 22-year-old had done this walk many times before, but when Bethany's father went looking for her, he found a horrible scene in the woods. Bethany's body was on the ground, and her 2 pit bulls were standing over her, acting very aggressive and protective. The dogs wouldn't let anyone near Bethany's body. Her father had to call the police for help. When officers came, they saw the dogs were still guarding Bethany angrily. Police had to wait and plan carefully before they could get to her body. An autopsy showed Bethany had died from terrible injuries caused by the dog attack. She had wounds on her arms, showing she had tried to fight back. The sheriff said it was a horrible mauling. No criminal charges were filed, and the case was closed as a tragic accident. Both pit bulls were put down with the family's permission. Pat McDonald's Wapiti attack. On April 17, 2019, Pat McDonald went to feed his pet wapiti on his property in Moihu, Victoria, Australia. The 47-year-old had raised the deer-elk mix for 6 years. It was mating season, which made the male wapiti very angry and territorial. When McDonald entered the animal's pen to feed it that morning, the wapiti suddenly charged at him. The animal used its antlers like weapons, stabbing and stepping on McDonald. His wife Mandy heard him screaming and rushed outside to help. When Mandy tried to save her husband, the wapiti turned on her too, knocking her to the ground and badly hurting her. Their son heard the screams and ran outside. He grabbed a log and fought off the wapiti, saving his mother's life. McDonald died at the scene from his injuries. Police came and shot the wapiti dead. Mandy was rushed to the hospital with serious injuries but lived. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for similar ones and feel free to drop suggestions for the next video in the comments.